How are you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Fridays Are For Friends. I'm here with a talented artist, PASHA, that just started releasing music in 2024.
hmm
What inspired you to start putting your music out? And was there a specific moment that made you just jump and plunge into this?
I had been wanting to put out music for a really long time because I've been writing for longer than starting this year. It wasn't like one moment per se. It was more so just like a growing feeling of like I'm getting older. I'm saying I'm gonna do music. When am I going to put music out? And then I met my producer, Antonio Parker, and we started working together and I loved what we were making. So that felt like the moment of like, okay, I finally can. Like the music feels right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And speaking about the great music that you are making, can you talk a little bit about Flowers?
Yeah. So Flowers, I actually wrote a couple of years ago, just like laying in bed. I think I wrote it when I was like 20 or 21. I'm 23 now. Um, and if you like really pay attention to the lyrics, anyone can like apply them to their personal situation, but it's more so for me about kind of a strained relationship with someone in my family, um, like a guardian in my life, and kind of just accepting that the relationship is what it is and that I still love that person, but you know, it's not a good relationship. So I'm being really vulnerable on the song, and it definitely comes straight from the heart for sure.
And being vulnerable, how has that helped you become a better artist?
I feel for me, I feel that I don't have to try to be vulnerable per se. I think it's harder to try and not be. I think it's harder to try and imitate another person's style or like convey a story or an emotion that isn't mine. Um, Being vulnerable is my first instinct. I feel like when I'm making music, the harder part is maybe like putting it out into the world, which is also vulnerable. But I enjoy like really putting my heart on my sleeve when I make music.
For sure. And when you picked up your guitar at 10 years old, did you know that you would be here and your artistic journey would take this route?
Um, I I mean, I think at 10 I wasn't thinking very specifically. I will say I always like as a little girl, I definitely wanted when I thought of myself when I grew up, I was like, I want to be a singer. I want to make music. Um, but I started playing guitar because my dad played guitar. Um, and it was just a way for me to express myself and get some creativity out. I definitely did not I definitely could not have pictured like things being the way they are now. So it's cool. It's cool to see that.
Yeah, and you
hmm
spoke a little bit about a musical influence that you had, your father. Did you have any other musical influences? And if you want to talk about that relationship, you can, or any others that also helped shape you into the artist and person that you are today?
hmm I'd say my dad was definitely laid the groundwork. My just our household growing up, like music was just such a huge part of the time that we spent together. Um, but aside from that, I mean, I took guitar lessons growing up, which was helpful for like structure and things like that. But I feel like my tastes and things like of that nature were really shaped by just my own personal exploration of music. Um, yeah, that's really it. Because I reached an age where like the music that I liked, my parents really didn't like, and so it became like a source of conflict. So it became very personal to me. But when I was really young, I'd say my dad was that first big influence.
Yeah. And how would you describe your music to someone that hasn't heard your music before?
I would say that I make alternative R&B slash neo soul. The lyrics are going to be heartfelt every single time. Um, and it's not super flowery or complicated or overdone. I just want you to hear what I'm saying. And then every now and then I might make something a little dancier, a little vibey that you can relax to, but it's usually just sentimental music.
Yeah. And do you think like your Caribbean influences have any effect or seep into any of your music? Or if not
Mhm.
now, do you
Mhm.
plan on, I guess, bringing that culture more inside?
I say definitely yes. Probably not with anything that I have released yet, but I'm sitting on a lot of music, and some of it you can definitely hear um, the Caribbean influence, and it is something that I would like to lean into more. I do feel like I'm very much still exploring my sound and finding my sound. Um, so I don't think you'll probably never hear me come out with like a straight like Afrobeat song or like a Haitian song or anything like that. But I think the influence pushes me to just get a little weirder with R&B, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
For sure. And kicking off 2025, what are some of your biggest goals that you have for yourself?
2025, I want to perform more and like really get outside in my city, you know. I am hoping to put out an EP like first half of the year to kind of clear out all this music that I'm sitting on and just continue building on what I've done this year. Um, Continue growing my social media, things of that nature, but a huge emphasis really on like getting my face card out there in real life, performing, getting better at that, um, stage presence, all that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you just had your first performance not too long ago.
Hmm.
Can you describe what you felt going into that and
Hmm.
what you learned from
Hmm.
that?
So that was a really fun experience. I felt I didn't feel nervous or anything really. I was kind of just going into it curious to see what it was going to be like because it was also just my first time seeing this particular platform, like how they do things, Creatives After Dark. Um, so I wasn't nervous. I'd say what I learned, the big takeaways, like it's difficult to capture an audience's attention if they did not come for you, and nobody there came for me. You know what I mean? So except for you,
We
and
did. We
and
did.
a couple of people came for me, but you know what I mean. Like the majority of the crowd, which is okay, and seeing people at the beginning of my performance not paying attention to like kind of paying attention second song, paying attention third song, kind of just made me reflect on like, okay, what are ways to like incite the audience's engagement and things like that. And I also just thought about like what can I do to make myself more comfortable when I'm performing and to relax in front of people so that they can connect with me. So I think it was a good learning experience for me.
Yeah, and I think you did great,
Thank you.
especially it being your first
Hmm.
performance. And I'm really excited to see how you continue that.
Thank you.
And the last question I had is if you had to pick an emoji that would represent your music, what would that be?
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, the one that's like the dude peeking through his hands with the eyes,
Yeah.
like that one, yeah, for sure. Because it's like I'll say things in my songs that like I would not say in real life to the people that I feel these feelings
Hmm.
towards, but it's how I feel. So I'll like say it, I'm like, "Oh, I said it." Yeah,
Well,
so probably that.
well, now we want people to be able to hear this music you're
Yeah,
talking about and try to see how the emoji relates to
yeah,
that. So
yeah,
if you want to let them know where they can find you,
yeah.
and yeah,
So you can listen to my music on any streaming platform. My name is Pasha, all caps PASHA, and you can follow me at XOXO Pasha on Instagram and TikTok.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to do the performance with us and the interview as well. And it was wonderful getting to know you, and I'm
Yeah,
excited for the audience to learn about you as
yeah.
well.
Thank you so much for having
Of
me.
course. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Fridays Are for Friends. Peace.
I'm Pasha. Thanks for tuning in to Fridays Are for Friends.